Welcome to the 2300 Pick Six Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Walker, about to do NFL schedule analysis, part 2. Before we begin, we're going to do a little bit on a serious note right now. For the family of Aldon Smith, which was the former linebacker of the San Francisco 49ers, he passed away last night. Prayers for you, man, you and your family, you and your condolences. You had a hell of a NFL season. Prayers up for you. Rest easy in heaven, man. And peace be with you. And we're going to have a brief moment of silence on that. All right. Now we're going to get into another portion, which I don't want to have to say, even though, yes, and it's going to pay me when I go to Fanatics Fest in New York. I have to deal with a bunch of Knicks fans, but I don't want to say this, but I'll do it just to get off my chest here. This is going to drive me fucking insane. Congratulations to the New York Knicks for winning the NBA Finals and getting your championship since 1970. Congratulations. Makes me want to vomit saying, but I just had to get that out there. But we're now going to start with our show. Same rules as before. First four. Well, technically the last one, I didn't realize I did 5 teams. I don't know, just maybe the grounds, I just couldn't keep track. But we're going to see. It's going to be 4. But if extra, we might do extra. So we're going to start now. Shuffle the deck. Alrighty. Let's see what we got. Our first card is the New York Jets, whereas then Wolf likes to start calling them the Jets when he has to pick them at times. But, well, we're not going to have a good one with this one, so it's more likely for the Jets. It is a rebuild. They still have Aaron Glenn as their coach. I don't know how the Jets are going to do. They did get Geno Smith back. So it's a rebuild here. So we're going to see what we get out of the New York Jets here. And I'm going to pull up their schedule right now. All righty. So we have the Jets schedule up right now. Their first game starts off with the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. Geno over Cam Ward. Cam Ward actually does have a running back. They both have a running back. All right, in this one, I'm actually going to say the Jets go 1-0 here. I'm going to take that as 1-0 for them. Yeah, 1-0 for the moment. Against the Packers, they're going to be 1-1. The Packers will win that one. Against Detroit, Aaron Glenn is not going to get his revenge. And in Detroit, no, that's a loss right there. Against the Bears, now you're dealing with Ben Johnson. In Chicago, that's going to be a loss there. Against Cleveland, now Cleveland has Jarrett Verse. The Jets at home. I said the Jets get a win there. They're going to be 2-3 right now at the moment. Against New England, that is a loss. Against Miami at home, that is a win right there because Miami is literally blowing it up, and they have Malik Willis, and they have nothing. Against the Raiders, they will get a win there. Against the Chiefs, that is a loss. Against the Bills are going to smoke them as usual. That is a loss. Against the Chargers are going to win that one. That is a win. In Miami, they get a win there. They'll sweep Miami. Against Denver, a loss. Against the Arizona Cardinals, that will be a loss. Against the Patriots, getting swept. Against the Vikings, a loss. And against the Bills, a loss. So a breakdown of the Jets' record. They will be 1-0 against Tennessee, 1-1 against Green Bay, 1-2 against Detroit, 1-3 against the Bears, 2-3 against Cleveland, 2-4 against New England, 3-4 against the Dolphins, 4-4 against the Raiders, 4-5 against the Chiefs, 4-6 against the Bills, 4-7 against the Chargers, 5-7 against the Dolphins, 5-8 against the Broncos, 5-9 against the Cards, 5-10 against the Patriots, 5-11 against Minnesota, and 5-12 against the Bills. So If anybody ever saw that reel I sent, it's with I sent it to Wolf. It was with Rob Snyder going, "We suck again. We suck again. You will suck again." Going 5-12. Next team on the list is the New Orleans Saints. So for the Saints, with Kellen Moore in the end, they did have a pretty good run, even though they didn't make the playoffs. They switched the quarterback to Tyler Show, so we're going to see how he does in a full season. They got Travis Etienne, so I don't know if Alvin Kamara is still there or if he retired. If Kamara is still there, then it's going to be probably you could have a very good 1-2 combination in Kamara and Travis Etienne. That's it. I think Kamara is still with the Saints. He has not left, and he hasn't gotten traded. So he is still there. So you may have a good 1-2 combination here. So we're going to break down the Saints schedule. Saints. Where is Saints on my list? Okay, there we go. So the Saints. And we're going to pull up the Saints schedule right now. Okay, so the Saints' first game of the season is against the Detroit Lions. That is going to be a loss. Detroit's going to win that one. Next one is against the Baltimore Ravens. That is going to be a loss right there with Lamar Jackson and company. Against the Raiders at home, you get a win there. Against Atlanta, that will be a win. Against the Vikings. In New Orleans, it is not easy to win down there. I'm actually going to take the Saints on that one. I think they do get a win there. Against the Smurfs, that will be a win. Against Pittsburgh, that should be a win. Against the Browns, that I'm going to say actually a win there. I'm actually going to say a loss there because Jarrett Burks could get to them, and the Browns do have a defense. I think that might be a fuck you game towards the Saints. Against Carolina, that's going to be a bounce back game. They get a win there. Against the Bears, that will be a loss. Against the Bengals, that will be a loss. Against the Packers, I say that will be a win there because I don't think they're going to be able to stop Kamara and Etienne. And I do not think Green Bay is going to be good. And when I get to Green Bay, I will discuss why. If I do get to that today, against Carolina, that will be a loss. They're going to split with the Panthers. Against the Bucs in Tampa Bay, even though they don't have Mike Evans, I think that they will split with Tampa. That one is going to be a loss there. They're going to split. That's going to be a loss in Tampa. Against the Cardinals, that will be a win. Against the Falcons, that will be a win. Against the Saints, against Tampa Bay at the final game of the season will be a win. So a breakdown of the Saints' record. They're going to be 0-1 against Detroit, 0-2 against Baltimore, 1-2 against the Raiders, 2-1 against the Falcons, 2-2 against the Vikings, 3-2 against the Giants, 4-2 against Pittsburgh, 4-3 against Cleveland, 5-3 against the Panthers, 5-4 against Chicago, 5-5 against the Bengals, 6-5 against Green Bay, 6-6 against Carolina, 6-7 against Tampa, 7-6 against Arizona, 8-6 against Atlanta, 9-6. So the Saints are going to have a good record at 9-6. I have them as. Now, I don't know if they're going to slip it as maybe as a final wild card, but we'll wait and see what happens during the season. But pretty good record. A little better than last year. Our third one is the Chicago Bears. If I didn't show it to you, sorry. The Bears. Okay, so for the Bears, traded away DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills. This was a team that nobody expected to be really good. I didn't expect it to be really, really good, but everybody else did. So to all the people that did say the Bears were going to be good, my hat's off to you because I really didn't think that they were. But they were the cardiac Bears this year. A lot of their games they won were very, very close. They won close in the wild card against the Green Bay Packers, even though they were down. They lost in overtime to the Rams. But this is a team, even though they are moving in the average, they will still be called the Chicago Bears next year when they do move it to their new stadium. But for the Bears, they have that 1-2 combination in Monangai and DeAndre Swift. Now they're going to use Luther Bard a little bit more, Romeo Odunze, and Colt Kmet. So they do have a pretty good lineup. The defense is just their one question mark I have on the Bears. But the Bears, I think, may do a little bit better this year, but we'll wait and see. So I'm going to pull up the Bears schedule. All right, Chicago's first game in the season, their first game is against the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to say 0-1 because Carolina Panthers pulled off a lot of upsets last year at home. And in this instance, I think that will be an upset right there. They're going to lose that game. They're going to be 0-1. They play Minnesota at home. They're going to bounce back from that one. They're going to be 1-1. Against the Eagles, I say a win there because I think Philadelphia might fall into the same trap that we did last year at week 3. We underestimated this team, and I think Philadelphia might underestimate Chicago Bears at home on a Sunday night. And I could see the Bears having their way, using the same combination how they beat them on Black Friday, with Monangai, with Swift, with Barden, with Cole Kmet, and with Luther Bard. Romeo Dunze in this one. So I could see the Bears getting their win on this one. So they have a win there. Against the Jets, that is a win. Against the Packers, I'm going to say that is going to be a win there, right there. In Lambeau, they're going to get their win there. Against Atlanta, that will be a win. Against the Patriots, couldn't come close, but I'm going to take the Bears in that one. Against Seattle, that one's going to be a loss. In Seattle, they're going to take a loss there. At home against Tampa, I can see that's going to be a win right there. Against the Saints at home, that is a win. On Thanksgiving against Detroit, I've seen how this script has gone. I see Detroit getting the win here. Against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home, that is a win. Against the Dolphins, I know Chicago does not do good in Miami. They do not do good in the state of Florida. But I think in this instance, they get the win here. Very close in an ugly way. Against the Bills, that will be a loss. Against the Packers at home, that is a win on Christmas. Against Detroit on January 3rd, that one will be a win. They're going to split with Detroit. I think that battle for that division is going to be between those two. Against Minnesota at home, I can see the Vikings pull off, I'm not going to say the Vikings are going to go far this year, but pending who it is. If it's J.J. McCarthy, I believe they have a better chance. But if it's with Kyler Murray, they're not going to go. And if I do get to the Vikings, I'm going to split that up into two parts, which is with either J.J. McCarthy or Kyler Murray. But in this instance, I think the Vikings could pull a fuck you game on the Bears, which is it could fuck the Bears out of a divisional spot, like for the division, or it could fuck up their playoff spot. So I'm going to say that one. But we're going to break down the Bears' record right now. They're going to be 0-1 against Carolina, 1-1 against Minnesota, 2-1 against the Eagles, 3-1 against the Jets, 4-1 against Green Bay, 5-1 against Atlanta, 6-1 against the Patriots, 6-2 against Seattle, 7-2 against Tampa, 8-2 against the Saints, 8-3 against Detroit, 9-3 against Jacksonville, 10-3 against the Dolphins, 10-4 against the Bills, 11-4 against the Packers, 11-5 against Detroit, 11-6 I have them going. So I don't know if they're going to win their division. I don't know how far they're going to go, but I think Chicago is going to be a little bit better. And I don't think they're going to be in a lot of cardiac Bears games or comeback Bears games. And our final one, the Carolina Panthers. And I'm going to say this with the Carolina Panthers. This actually is my sleeper team this year, and I'm going on a win with them because last year they proved a lot of us wrong. They made it into the playoffs, even though it was a weird way how they got in. They hung with the Rams, almost would have won had Jimmy Horn not have dropped that pass. But right now they have some better weapons this year. Now, can Bryce Young and get the Carolina Panthers over that hump, and let's see how far that this team can go. Now, Rico Dowd is with the Pittsburgh Steelers, so it's back to Chuba Hubbard. They do have good receivers in Jalen Coker, Torian McMillan. But we're going to wait and see how this Panthers team does. Are they going to repeat back? Are they going to win their division? Because I think it could be a three-way race in that division with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even though Tampa Bay did get rid of Mike Evans and send him to San Francisco. New Orleans Saints, I'm not going to count that team out. I think that team's going to be a lot better than people think. I don't think it's going to suck. I think they're going to be a lot better. I think they'll have a decent record, but I don't know if they're going to get to a wild card or a playoffs. That's what we're going to wait and find out and see. But we're going to break down the Panthers' record right now. First game of the season is against the Chicago Bears at home. I'm going to call that a win right there. They pull off an upset. This could be by a last-minute field goal or in an overtime. I have the Panthers winning that game against the Bears. Against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta, I'm going to go the Panthers in this one because the Falcons right now, I don't know what the hell's going on. They have a new coach. Now I have Tua as your quarterback, and I don't know if Michael Penix is going to be there because of his injury. I don't know how this is going to be. So I'm actually going to take the Panthers on this one. Against Cleveland, in Cleveland, Cleveland has a defense, and Carolina at times were not good on the road at times. And I can say in this game right here, I'm going to call that the proverbial fuck you game right there. I think Cleveland could fuck over the Carolina Panthers, and I think because of that defense with Jared Verse and them getting him. So I'm actually going to say that Cleveland pulls that one off very, very close. So I'm going to say a loss there. Against Detroit at home, that one is going to be a loss. I don't think that Bryce Young is going to be able to hang with Jared Goff and them boys. So that one is going to be a loss. They're going to take a loss at home. Against Philadelphia, in Philadelphia, that will be a loss right there. I see Philly getting a win here. Against Tampa Bay at home, that will be a win. They'll get the win there. Against Green Bay, in Green Bay, I'm actually going to go to Packers here on this one. The Packers pull it off close. They get the win there. Against Denver at home, I'll say Carolina pulls that one off in an upset. They humbled the Broncos in that one because I think the Broncos will come in cocky thinking they have a win. That one is going to be a win by Carolina. Against the Saints in New Orleans, that one will be a loss. They're going to split with the Saints, I said. Against Baltimore at home, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. I'm going to say the same thing again with this. I think the Panthers pull up another upset here. Against Baltimore, that will be an upset. I'm going to call that as an upset win. They're going to get that one. Against the Bucs at home in Tampa, that will be a loss. They're going to split with Tampa. Against Minnesota in Minnesota, that will be a loss. Against New Orleans at home, that will be a win. They get their revenge there. Against the Bengals do not have a good defense, and I can see Burrow getting sacked to hell. I see Carolina pulling off an upset there. They get a win there. Against the Steelers in Pittsburgh, I say Carolina gets a win there. Carolina gets the win there. Against Seattle at home, that one will be a loss there. I think Seattle will get the win there. And then against Atlanta at home, they get a win. So breakdown of the Panthers' record will be 1-0 against Chicago, 1-1, 2-0 against the Falcons, 2-1 against the Cleveland Browns, 2-2 against Detroit, 2-3 against Philadelphia, 3-3 against Tampa, 3-4 against the Packers, 4-4 against Denver, 4-5 against the Saints, 5-5 against Baltimore, 6-5 against Tampa, 6-6 against Minnesota, 7-6 against New Orleans, 8-6 against the Bengals, 9-6 against the Steelers, 9-7 against Seattle, 10-7 I have them going. So like I said, with this NFC South, it could be a three-way race between the Saints, the Panthers, and the Bucs. We'll wait and see when it occurs when I get to the Bucs, when I get to that down the road. Next show I might do is probably this Friday because my job is closed on Juneteenth because of a holiday. I may do it this Friday. It could be maybe this weekend, next weekend, Saturday or Sunday for the third episode. We'll wait and see how it is. Before I go and end my day, because later on I am going out to Maryland to an LA Knight meet and greet, which my friend Bobby Harris invited me to. Shout out to you, Bobby, if you're listening to this. If you do, I'll see you around later on. We'll wait and see what occurs. But before we end and call today, it's just been enough time for talk. It's time for kickoff. I'm Dave Walker, and we'll see you on the field. Goodbye, everybody.